And hello, welcome to our show. It is, Thursday, December 2nd, 2021? Oh my goodness, it's been like 2 months since we've done a show, Zach.
We discussed that.
Yeah, but like we're actually live now. Hi.
Yes, I know.
What has anything major changed in the last couple of months since I've really talked to you?
Well, I got a job offer today.
Now that is exciting. Now,
It is, yeah. It entails a 50% raise.
that's not too bad. So is it?
It's not too bad.
It's
It
not.
does entail some baggage, but we'll see.
It is not with the same employer, however, that you're currently employed with, is it?
No.
Okay.
I will be having a meeting tomorrow with them to discuss that.
So I don't know.
As I do have an application in for a position with them, and I'm basically going to tell them, listen, I have an offer here. I need you to expedite this process, or that's it.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know if I probably haven't super talked about it because part of the reason that the show has been so goofy lately is that I started a new position with a new employer that I am super excited to be working for. So how much do you know about my current employer, Zach?
A little bit.
Don't say its name. Again,
I'm aware.
we have a rule that we don't actually talk about.
We don't talk.
I just don't think it's other people's information. We can give little clues here and stuff like that. So basically, the particular entity that I work for is at its core is a software development company. So anyway, of course, I don't do anything with the software development side of things. It is, I will say this though, Zach, it is interesting working for a software development company in terms of my users that I support, because depending on what role you're in, but like if I am working with like a software engineer or developer or something like that, and just in general, I think the nature of what our particular entity is, I would say that a lot of my users in most cases have a little bit more knowledge than your average like office employee would. Again, and I think that this solely comes down to just the nature of what our business is.
Well, I work in healthcare, so you can imagine the kind of fools I work with. At least when it comes to computers, they're fools.
Yeah, so I mean, like some of the departments that I can think of where some of that knowledge might be a little bit more on par with what you would find in an average office. And again, it's due to I think just the nature of, that position would be something like, like an accounting department, the accounting department or HR. But in some cases, even some of those particular individuals have a little bit higher, shall we say, base knowledge of technology than, than you might necessarily find in a particular, in a traditional office setting, I guess I would say. Which is interesting. So here's a really good example. I had a user the other day.
A user? Wow, I can't believe it.
So actually, I don't know necessarily what the role was. They were a software developer or something like that. I think they were a software developer. So and what my particular entity has found, and as part of, the nature of what our business is, software development, a lot of that stuff can be done remotely. So there's a fair number of people in our organization that are actually working remotely, which is fine. But this, and it has allowed our entity to grow quite significantly too. We're growing at a very rapid rate. So this particular individual, this particular user, had opened a ticket with us that they were having some issues with their workstation where it would just kind of randomly lock up. And
those are the best.
I don't know if we ever really determined necessarily what the actual problem was. I don't even actually remember where that workstation went. I need to find that and isolate that, actually. It's in a pile of stuff that's been wiped, though. But anyway, I just thought about that. I should probably go find that tomorrow. But so anyway, yeah, they opened a help desk ticket, and we kind of did a couple things here and there. And then a couple weeks later, we get a frantic message through our internal messaging application that this particular user's workstation is unusable at this point because it will not boot into Windows. I don't know what happened, but Windows just like something got corrupted to some, I don't know, some level basically, where basically, sorry, hang on. There was a hair there. That's what I was feeling. But it got messed up to the point where, yeah, so like they legitimately could not, and like they tried to run like diagnostics on the system, like so all the hardware said it was fine, so it pointed to like a software issue per se, but like it was so broken that like you couldn't even like, I don't know, like it would post and then Windows would like sort of kind of like start to load, but it wouldn't actually load at all or something.
But it just go into the endless loop of preparing automatic repair.
No, it wouldn't even get that far.
Wow, that's pretty pretty toasted.
It wouldn't
time to re-image.
So we attempted some other things, like we couldn't even get it into safe mode.
Well, yeah, it won't even get into automatic repair.
Yeah, we couldn't even get it into safe mode. It was that broken. And then it just magically at some point decided to start working.
What?
Yeah, so like he could get the system to turn on. He was able to log in. But then he tried to connect it to his Wi-Fi, and like the network adapter was there and it was showing up, but like I don't know, like the drivers or something about it like just was not working. So I don't know if some registry files got messed up or something accidentally, or what specifically happened. And what these developers do is we give them pretty beefy workstations because they're running virtual machines and like VirtualBox on their system. So I don't know if something related to a particular build or something that they were working on somehow caused issues with Windows. I wouldn't think it would, but you never know. Although it seems to be an isolated issue to just this one particular user, as far as I can tell. And I've also seen some reports, and we've had some of those systems that have had graphics issues in the past, which is initially what it started off as. So I don't know. We have no idea what happened. But so basically, anyway, so we get this frantic message, right? This is like a Thursday afternoon, or Thursday morning, excuse me. It's like a Thursday morning. We get this message. So we're trying to, do some things. I'm sitting on a meeting with this guy. Luckily, this particular individual had our internal messaging, software on their device, on their phone. So I was able to still communicate with this particular individual. And so we're trying some things here. Back to my original point, though, of, working for a software company, right, is this user initially had already tried some kind of advanced diagnostics things, like running check disk and
like
things
rebooting?
like that. No, like actually running check disk and like stuff like that. Ooh. What happened there?
I don't know. My Discord just seemed to crash and then restart itself.
So anyway, yeah, no. So
We're talking about restarting things, so maybe that's what happened.
but so anyway, yeah. So no, this particular user had already tried some kind of more advanced things, which is what I found from some other users as well.
Really? They tried to restart the computer?
No,
That's pretty advanced.
No. They tried to run check disk.
Actually, restarting the computer is pretty advanced. Did they try that? Most people don't know how to do it.
I'll tell you another story in a second here, though. This one facepalm moment, but anyway. Yeah. But anyway, so as we're trying to work this out, you know, I'm already at this point where I'm like, you know what, this user is already having issues. Even if we get this working, we need to send this user a new system, right? Which my manager agreed with as well. And so initially we were kind of trying to figure out, you know, what was going on and things like that. And we're like, okay, we probably need to get this guy a new system, right? And so one of my other coworkers, you know, I'm kind of, you know, bouncing ideas off of them, and they mention, you know, well, ask this user how far they are from one of our locations. So I'm like, so how far are you away from this office? And they're like, well, I'm in Texas. For context,
That doesn't sound very good.
For context, we're in Iowa. My entity is in Iowa, right? So, you know, this individual's like, yeah, just a couple 100 miles away. You know, give or take. It's just a couple 100.
Yeah, that's...
So,
I want to
anyway.
UPS that one.
Yeah, so I ended up spending the rest of that day getting a system ready for this guy, with our base image on it and getting it all set up. And then we shipped it out the next day. And then he was ready to go. We overnighted it, so it got there like Saturday, and then he was ready to go the next day. And then like a week later, I got his other system. So, but anyway, so no, another ticket came in yesterday. So, you know, you call yourself a ticket drone, and technically I am a quote unquote ticket drone. But I would probably say that, although I don't know, I could be wrong. I think a lot of the tickets that not a lot, but some of the tickets that I take are, in a sense, more advanced than what a normal tier 1 person may do. And I guess
me too.
I guess it probably depends on...
Still a ticket drone. You never escape being a ticket drone in IT.
I guess it depends on what entity you're working for and what the scope of their, you know, particular IT needs are. But
at my job, like, even the tier 1s are asked to do things that are way beyond the scope of what tier 1s should probably do at most places.
Okay, I'm curious to get an example in a second. So basically, I got a ticket yesterday from a user. So our entity is developing mobile applications now, and as part of that, they need Macs to develop, you know, the iOS versions of our applications. No problem. So we've got some Mac Minis, you know, that are there that our software developers remote into, and then do their work on. Well, as you can imagine, as you're developing, you know, an app, there are large files that are created. And so what had happened is they had filled this poor little Mac Mini's SSD, which is only like 250 gigs, basically full. There was like 1.5 gigs of space left.
Well, those are always so much fun. When you fill the hard drive, just the strangest things happen.
Yeah, so on Macs, apparently, because this totally makes sense, right? The disk is like decently full, right? Guess what you need? Guess what you need in order to delete files?
Don't tell me disk space.
You need disk space to delete files.
You need disk space to recycle files.
Well, yeah.
Wait.
So anyway, right? So I'm trying some commands yesterday. Now, like, the Mac operating system is somewhat Unix based, and while the commands are similar, they're not the same. So I was trying some commands and they didn't work. Oh, and then because, this is of course how this was going to go, is so this particular system was set up and it was a system that they just kind of left always logged in, right? Well, we restarted it. Can you see where this is going?
Probably something that needed to be running for them to log in remotely was not running. And then Dear IT, I can't log in.
No, it was on site because they asked us to intervene. They asked us to assist them in freeing up disk space on the system, right? So I'm taking a look at it. Right. I restart it. I have access to this particular system on site, like physical access to it, right? Mm-hmm. That wasn't the issue. But I restart it. It comes to a login screen. Guess what I don't have?
You don't have creds.
I don't have the password, right? I don't have any credentials. So I reach
IT. You should be able to get access to pretty much any kind of user creds, right?
Yes and no. So our particular, I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, so I reach out to the person who I'm initially messaging and I say, hey, restarted the system. Do you know what the credentials are? And this particular individual's like, no, I'm not sure. Go ask this particular person. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I message this other individual and I ask them for the credentials. And they're like, well, try this. So I try it. And it doesn't work. So I go back to them and I say, hey, so I tried these credentials and they didn't work. So they're like, okay. So they kind of think for a few minutes. And then I get a couple more passwords. And neither of those worked, right? And so I'm like, well, neither of those worked either. And then
don't tell me it's an Active Directory account and then you get locked out.
No, it was an Active Directory, but I mean, Macs, Apple has its own security.
Yeah, never mind. I was thinking PC.
You can actually join Macs to an Active Directory domain. It's goofy. I don't know how to do it, but I know it's a thing because our entity has users that have Macs that are part of our domain.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. The Macs are a fun challenge, shall we say, is my understanding.
Are they jank?
I don't know because I haven't had to interact with them very much.
Well, based on your wording of fun challenge, I'm going to go with jank.
Basically, there was a situation where I think a user did an update and then there was a problem with it caching local, like it was having a problem, I think, talking back and forth with domain controller in terms of like user credentials when the user changed their password, I think, is what happened. I don't know. I wasn't a part of that. That was another tech that worked on that. But I just know from that particular tech that, having Macs is a challenge.
Something tells me challenge is putting it nicely.
I will say that we would rather not have them if we had a choice. Let's put it that way. So.
Yeah, understandable.
It would eliminate a lot of problems, but we don't have that. We don't have that ability. I mean, so my manager is a Mac user, and my manager has a decent amount of say in some of the directions that we go in terms of, IT for our entity. Now let me preface this by saying that my manager is amazing. Their knowledge is incredible. The sad part is that my manager is stuck in meetings all day. So you don't necessarily
like that.
So you don't necessarily get to utilize their knowledge maybe as much as you would like to be able to, unfortunately. But incredibly knowledgeable. My manager is awesome. they are just, they're not a person that plays corporate games. They're very like cut and dry. Yeah, really, really good at what they do. So I definitely lucked out with that. I've lucked out a lot with the culture at my particular entity is just, it's amazing. Everyone is like super friendly, and it's just, it's a, like I said, it's a great culture. I don't get the impression that people don't want to be there. I get the impression that people want to be there and they want to do a good job. That's the vibe that I've gotten. So, everyone's, like I said, super passionate about what they're doing, which is really cool. So anyway, yeah, so nobody knows what the password is for the system, by the way. So long and short of it, nobody has any idea what the password is, right? Now, luckily,
and it's a local account too. So if no one was able to figure out, it would be time to nuke it from orbit or bust out the password cracking tools.
Yeah. So luckily, another tech had been a part of a conversation where the password for that particular system had been shared, and so we were able to look back at that and actually find the correct password and get logged in. And then that went into our password manager application so that it is there when we need it next time. So funny thing is that one of the passwords that was actually sent to me was very, very close, but it wasn't exact. So that was like an hour of my day yesterday, just kind of going back and forth with messages, like trying to figure this out, right? Which was a ton of fun. So anyway, so today I take a look at it and I go in, I try typing command to empty the recycling bin, and the command didn't work. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm just going to do it, through the GUI basically, right? So walk in, click on the trash can, say empty. To my amazement, it actually emptied the trash can and freed up a ton of space. There's like 130 some gigs of space now on that system. So that was the solution.
That sounds like a really long-winded way of getting to a simple solution.
It was a very simple solution. I messaged the initial person and said, well, I sent them a screenshot of, the free disk space and let them know, hey, like, we fixed it basically. And then I said, I would just recommend periodically cleaning out the trash can. So, and what my guess would be is that they didn't even realize that the drive was that full until it was that full. Would be what my guess is. But it is kind of one of those moments in IT where it's like, that was simple, and I wasted how much time on that? I don't know if I would say waste. Yeah, I don't know. I spent this much time on that.
I wasted 2 hours
for a silly
today.
Solution.
Actually, no, at about an hour and a half today, because during some troubleshooting, during some troubleshooting of an Office-related issue, I noticed there were 2 copies of Office on the computer. Of course, I uninstalled the oldest copy while clearing that with the user beforehand.
Let me guess.
You know what the user then told me? Oh, I need access. Like, the program.
Yeah. I need Microsoft access.
Why is it gone? What?
Wow, it's part of the old Office package.
Yes.
That was my
old Office package.
That was my thought process as to why there were both of them on there, was that they needed access to a particular application that was either for compatibility or something that was part of the older software, you know.
Yes, this lady was the only person in the entire company who uses this program. The only person who uses it, period. And on top of that, then, okay, well, fine, we'll just reinstall 2010 Office, whatever. Okay, where is it? I don't know. Okay, dear coworker, please help me find 2010 Office. What share is it in? Crickets. Okay, fine. I'm going to download it. Sorry, you cannot install this 64-bit MS Access because 32-bit Office is installed. Therefore, we say no. What? Why does that matter? I have other 32-bit programs on my computer, but you still let me install 64-bit programs. Why is this any different? Whatever. Fine.
Because of the way
we're downloading 32-bit Access then. Whatever. Oh, sorry, this app can't run on your PC. It is a 32-bit app. What? Then why is 32-bit Office running? Okay. Let's move on. Dear other coworker, please help. Oh, sure, I'll find an ISO for you. Proceeds to give me a 64-bit ISO. So I can't install that because whatever. Okay, fine. Dear coworker, please give me the 32-bit ISO. I'm sorry, this is probably the dumbest thing you'll read all day. Gives me 32-bit ISO. Tell user, cross your fingers this works. Because, yeah, we probably don't have any other options. It works. Dear coworker, please can I have a license key? Yeah, I'm trying to find a license key. I can't find one. Oh boy, great. Here's an ancient license key I found in a share somewhere. Oh, okay. License key. We're in. Amazing. Amazing. It works. Okay, dear IT, where are my access files? What? My access files. They are gone. Where did you save them? I don't know. I just saved them in Access. No. That's not how programs work. Access is a program that opens files. It is not a place you put files. No, but I promise I put them in Access. No.
Well, they're talking about the quick access, but yeah.
No. She's talking about the database files that she opens with.
I know, but what I'm saying is that Access, when you open it, the quick access feature, yeah.
Yes.
And obviously because you installed it, because, okay,
we'll
yeah.
get to that. Okay. So you're the only person who uses this? Yep. And no one else knows where these files would be? Nope. And you have absolutely no idea where the files are saved. Like here's an example of a file. You're gonna open this with the program, right? Yep, I understand, but I saved them in Access. No, you didn't. I'm trying to be polite. Where are the files? I don't know. Okay, fine. We're going to look for the files. Are they in your H drive? I don't know. I don't know what that is. What do you mean you don't know what that is? People complain nonstop if they don't have their H drive. Okay, what about in the S drive? How
many network? How many map drives do these systems have?
4? I don't know.
What?
Okay, fine. I'm just going to start looking. Is that okay? Clicks on like 2 folders. Finds a bunch of Access databases. Oh, are these your files? Yes, they are. They were in the H drive file.
I was going to ask if they were local or on a share.
This one proceeds to open this one. Yeah, this is the one. I need this. Okay, see, I told you. You don't save them in Access. You save them here, and then Access opens them. Oh, but see, now when I click on Access, it's there. That's the quick access. Access tells you right now that you recently opened that. It's not saved in Access, though. Oh, but it's there now. I can do my work. Great. Thank God. Never talk to me again.
Oh, my. So it's different.
That was an hour and a half. An hour and a half. The actual fix for the problem she called me about was 15 minutes. It ballooned into almost 2 hours because this lady just decided not to tell me that she needed something that I was going to uninstall. I love it.
Yeah, so again, like the level that my users are at is a tad bit higher than the average user.
Oh my god. I swear, it's always the people like that. The people who say I'm bad with computers, I'm sorry. I always tell them, listen, if you're telling me that, you're better than you say you are.
You know, and maybe it's the culture of what our business is and just the terminology that we always use around people. But like, so I work pretty closely, if not every day, I'm pretty sure it's every day. I do something related to Active Directory. Whether it's creating a new user or removing a user or granting permissions to specific groups.
Yes, I love groups.
For
because
users.
Nobody tells me what to do with groups. So groups usually go something like this. Dear coworker, this is a folder that someone needs access to, but I don't see any groups that look like they correspond with it. Can you check? Crickets. Okay, fine. I'm giving myself the read all group and looking at the permissions myself, loser.
So, my particular entity takes security very seriously. We have auditing companies that come in and audit us, and one, I have no idea what auditing companies actually come in and audit us, but one of them, there may only be one, but I don't know. I know we're like a level 5 with one of them, which I would assume is pretty high up. We've got some crazy, crazy high security on a lot of things. All of our systems
That sounds annoying. That sounds like a lot of red tape to do your job.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of, dear coworker, can I please have clearance to do my job?
In some cases, yes. So
I hate that. I just hate that.
If
just give me the access and let me do it. I'm not breaking anything.
It's for auditing purposes. So
and like, come on, I'm in the IT department. That kind of implies some like trust that I'm not misusing your computer system.
Okay, so it's not
It's
that
simply necessary to do my job.
It is not that locked down necessarily. There are aspects that are locked down. All of our systems have BitLocker enabled on them.
BitLocker, yes. I work in a healthcare company. I know all about BitLocker.
So does your entity go as far as to, well, yeah, so you plug a USB drive into one of our systems, which you're not supposed to do, but if you do, it will force you to BitLocker encrypt it.
That does not happen. But I do know that my organization can be fined for losing a computer that is not encrypted. Yeah,
so whenever you plug in a USB drive in our systems, it will force BitLocker encryption as a GPL.
That is quite annoying. However, I find the BitLocker GPOs at my organization are so unreliable that they can't even reliably encrypt the C drive most of the time.
Okay. But okay, so if I'm making like user changes, if I'm adding a user or deleting a user in Active Directory, right? I have to request access to have my to have one of my accounts put into a particular organizational unit in order to make those changes. And then when I'm done, then that access is to be removed so that that particular user doesn't have standing access.
Oh my gosh, that sounds ridiculous.
Well, but see, here's the thing though. If you're working on multiple tasks for the day, you could have standing access all day. So you'd only have to request it, once. It's not like you have to request it all the time. It's not like
sounds super annoying.
Again, it's for auditing. And
I'm not disputing why it's done. I'm just saying that sounds really annoying to work in that system.
I think that because I don't have any other expectations, I think I've just gotten used to it. And so it is a process. We have a lot
my
of
first job in the field, I had a domain admin account. That was probably not proper, although the IT team consisted of 4 people, so whatever.
right.
But now I just have like kind of a nerf. I can do a lot with it though.
I have multiple accounts,
yeah, me
and
too.
I can, based off of what tasks I am required to do, will determine what particular, of those accounts that I need to use. So, I'm being vague, obviously, because security, right? And then we also have automations that, there's an audit process for when we create new users, when we remove users from our domain. So yeah, I guess you could call it red tape. For us, so let's say that a user gets added, right? There's a process, and there has to be an explanation as to why that particular user is being added to our domain. Now, an easy example would be we have somebody, a new hire. So there's going to be documentation relating to that new hire that will be associated with the reasoning as to why we are creating a new account. And then once that new account is created, then there are also audit processes that basically is a second check as to, hey, this happened. Please explain why it happened, basically. Which for us is as simple as, we'll see a second request basically come in, and then we just link that to the original request, basically. And then when we remove users as well, the same theory kind of happens, and there's supposed to be this kind of secondary check by one person will delete that particular account from Active Directory, and then the theory is that somebody else is supposed to go and actually confirm and verify that, yep, that user no longer exists in our Active Directory domain, and, access to particular applications and yada, yada, yada has been wiped out, basically. So,
your company's processes make some of my company's worst look like easy street.
I mean, the thing about a lot of this stuff is, though, like, those particular things are like, they take like a couple minutes, if that. So they're pretty quick. And it makes the auditors happy. So, which in turn makes
auditors. Not my job to please auditors. It's my job to make things work.
Which in turn makes, our executives happy, and that in turn makes our customers happy. But it can be used as a marketing thing for us, if somebody is coming to us to look at us, to build a solution for them, it is something where we can say, hey, your information is safe. So, that's why we do it. When we have new systems, or when we have systems from users that have left the company, we wipe the systems clean. Basically we run a DBAN on them. A little more involved than that, but that's all automated. So our imaging process is all automated as well. So basically I stick a flash drive in our system and attach it to the network and click some buttons, and then it installs Windows, licenses it, and installs the applications that that particular system needs, installs drivers. So it's when you get to the welcome screen, the system for the most part is pretty ready to go. Our Windows version, I think, is a little behind though, so we have to run like Windows updates on them, and then it does like 20 Windows updates at the same time.
Ouch. Ours is pretty automated too. Imaging computers is pretty chill. Just kind of hang out in the back, listen to music, listen to podcasts, and zone out.
Ours is so like when I image a system, I'll get it going, which is about like 10-minute process, and then once that's done, then I just let it sit and do its thing for like an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Come back and check it. Once it's on a login screen, I'll get logged in, and then I'll start running updates on our systems. So
we like to put 5, 6 computers on the counter at a time and just do them all at once.
I've got 3 stations right now where I can image systems. So we work mainly off of laptops, which is really nice. Actually, all of our users have laptops. So it's really nice. You got a trackpad, you got a keyboard already built in, you got a monitor already built in. So you just grab the system and put it there.
No, we have a KVM for the other ones, but the micro boxes aren't. They don't go to everybody. They only go to like nurse workstations and stuff like that. Oh, those poor computers! I feel bad for them. They're getting abused.
So my particular entity has a couple different style machines that we use. So like our developers have a much beefier system with like Core i9s or typically Xeons and like 32 gigs of memory, so they can run virtual machines on them. And then other staff that like administrative staff, HR, like HR, accounting, roles that don't require a beefy system like that. We have another set of systems that we deploy for those particular users, which are a little bit more scaled back. They're still decent systems. So mine is one of those systems. It is, I think it's got a 4K screen on it. 4K touch screen. Mine is a little bit older. I think mine is a Core i7 9th gen. And like 16 gigs of memory in it, I think is what my system is. So
most of ours are trash. Not really trash, just I don't know. I ran out of RAM the other day. I was like, where did it all go?
Oh, like actually on your system?
Yeah, all gone. Bye-bye.
Ooh,
Probably had been I don't know. It had been a few weeks since I rebooted, so whatever.
So my particular entity is like, your laptop is basically an extension of you. So when you leave for the day, take your laptop with you. So I take my laptop with me. So sitting in my bag back there. So I pack it up, and then I've got a nice docking station. So one of the things for me that was kind of unexpected, due to the nature of the way our particular space is built, where I'm at my location, there isn't really any space for like cubicles or anything like that. So it's all offices. So I actually have a physical office, which is kind of neat. So it's nice to be able to just like, if I want to just concentrate and like work on stuff and get things done. One, I'm new enough now that people don't necessarily know who I am yet. And 2, we don't have a ton of people in the Clear Lake office. I'm also on the first floor right now, which will be changing. I'll be moving up to the second floor here shortly, I think, within the next couple months or so. But I don't get a lot of foot traffic. So I don't really get bothered that much, which is kind of neat. But yeah, if I want to be somewhat antisocial, I can close my door, turn off the lights, and I got a little lamp in there and be a little hermit for a while, which is kind of neat. So our other location has a lot of cubicles. It's basically a giant like rectangle. So, anyway. But yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nice to be able to kind of zone out like that, though. You know, I'm sitting in my office today with my earbuds in and just, you know, jamming away on tickets. So, but yeah. I would say a large majority of my tickets are going to be, you know, creating new users, getting a workstation set up for them, deleting accounts, you know, employee separations, things like that. But then, you know, there are other, shall we say, more fun tasks. The accounting department has asked us to basically locate some missing monitors. Which will be fun. So, they're like, well, actually, so this one won't be so bad. They gave us a list of users, and they're basically like, hey, can you basically figure out what assets these particular users have? So that won't be so horrible. They did have us do a major like asset review, though, where we basically had to go on a major treasure hunt between like two offices and find a bunch of stuff. They were just like, here are a bunch of items with asset numbers, go find it. Yeah, that was interesting. So, and that was like my first like couple weeks there that like I had to do this. So, you know, what better way to initiate you? But
That's cool.
Yeah, anyway. Trying to think what else. Yeah. So, yeah, it's exciting. Other things, yeah, working on, you know, particular Mac issues and things like that. So, funny story. I'll tell you this funny story. So, when we were doing this, you know, this asset review treasure hunt thing, right? As part of it, we were looking for some of the assets that we were looking for were servers, right? And so unfortunately, there isn't necessarily a uniform place to always put the asset tag on a particular system. So, you know, we were, you know, looking for them all over the place. And I received a message from another coworker as to the location of where some of those asset tags may specifically be. And they were telling me, they're like, oh yeah, there's this little button on the front of the servers that you can, you know, push. And then like this little credit card thing, like credit card size, you know, thing comes out basically. And sometimes the asset tags are on there, right? And I'm like, okay. And then I get a message, might want to ask somebody, you know, where that button is. Don't just go around hitting buttons. It's like, I didn't plan on that. But yeah, anyway. So, we used to have a, like a small satellite, data center in another location. So my particular entity used to host its customers' data in our very own data center. Of course, with the advancement of cloud and things like that, we don't do that anymore. So we had no need for our replication site anymore. So they brought a lot of that equipment back, and it's just sitting in our warehouse right now. So that was a great resource to be able to, you know, do some stuff with. So my understanding is that there's going to be a great warehouse purge, possibly in the near future. So that'll be interesting. Got a bunch of like old monitors and stuff to get rid of, and some servers and things like that. Oh, I didn't tell you this, Zach. So I got a message. This was a month ago or so, right? So the way that my particular entity is set up, they invest in their employees a lot. And So one of the things that they do with new employees is they assign them a mentor. So I have a mentor that's been with our entity for, I think, 4 years now. Really cool guy. He's on a different team than I am. So it's really cool to, kind of get to interact with him. And like we get along really well, which is really awesome. So that's really neat. But so I get a message from him. And he asks me, he says, so, random question. Do you want a full-size server rack?
Like, for yourself?
Mm-hmm. So I respond back and I say, well, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it, but sure. So there is
Those are tall.
Yeah, so there is
They're big.
full-size server rack just showing in my storage space right now. So the story behind what happened, and why I was able to take this particular server rack. So my entity has a parent entity. My entity is a parent entity for another entity, basically. So we have a child entity. And they have their own set of servers and things like that. Well, the way that their stuff is set out right now is their server racks are somewhat exposed in a way. They're basically being shown off. And something probably happened in shipping where this particular server rack that I have, it has a slight bend to the frame. Not enough to where it will affect being able to rack items in it. It just doesn't look the prettiest. And so the thing was that they have like 3 of these racks sitting next to each other. So they weren't, and again, they're supposed to be displayed. So like the CEO was not going to have, 2 nice looking racks and then one that's like, the leaning tower of like Pisa or whatever, right? Or whatever it is. But anyway, so it was just sitting in a warehouse basically, and they were going to get rid of it. And so they were like, yeah, you want it? And I was like, sure, I'll take it. I'll figure out a use for it at some point. So that's how I got a full-size server rack, Zach.
That's cool.
Yeah, again, I got to figure out what to do with it. So it's, like I said, it's just showing in my, and it's like it's a pretty heavy duty server rack too. So what'll probably end up happening is when the weather gets nicer, I'll probably end up breaking it down, so that it's not all put together. It'll be hopefully in pieces. And then that way, when I finally do want to use it, it'll be a whole lot easier to move, and then I'll just put it back together wherever it is that it's going to eventually live at some point. So like in a professional setting, yeah, it doesn't necessarily look the greatest. For a home lab, though, like the frame's, again, like a little slightly bent, but as long as like a rack stuff in it, like who cares, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's how I got a server rack.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love the tech trash. Great.
So
Companies throw away stuff they really shouldn't.
I don't know what the particular rules are in terms of taking tech that we are decommissioning. I think my entity is a little bit more strict on some of that than maybe other entities are. So that's something that I got to clear with my manager, because ideally, if we are doing a warehouse purge, we're probably going to get rid of some servers, and I would love to have a server or 2. So for sure the drives have to be shredded, which is fine.
Yes. They're cheap anyway.
Yeah, like the drives have to be shredded, but other than that, if I can get some nice systems and stuff like that. So we mostly have like IBM stuff, is what we're running. So, we have yeah, we have some crazy solutions and stuff like that. But yeah. Anyway, our entity tries to stay, I think, kind of, you know, ahead of the curve and things like that in terms of you know, always evolving when it comes to technology and things like that. We've ditched like Cisco networking equipment in favor of other solutions. So, funny story about that. So, our again, tying in with security, right? So the default behavior for our network is that if you plug something into a wall jack, by default, unless your device has been authenticated in the proper ways, it'll dump you onto our guest network, right? Well, we were experiencing some issues with the authentication portion of that in our upstairs portion of the location that I currently work out of. This was also, you know, a couple months ago or so, about a month ago or something like that. And so, and we have VoIP phones from Cisco, right? So I don't know if there was a power bump or what exactly happened, but all of the phones upstairs like got restarted. And then because they couldn't authenticate properly on our network and get to the correct locations of where they were supposed to be, basically, because again, they were just kind of sitting on the guest network. They could never authenticate with the actual server, so they couldn't pull their configuration. So they were just sitting there in an endless loop of saying registering. So it was me and one of our network guys working remotely. So I was actually on site, he was remote, sending messages back and forth, you know, can you try this? Okay. Did it work? No. Okay, well, let me try this. Okay, try this again. So, and this is like a week-long thing, right? So anyway, so we're doing stuff, and so we eventually get all the phones for the most part back up and running and everything, and so that's good. So now we got the phones fixed, right? Well, now we have an issue with the laptops. So the laptops aren't authenticating properly either. So when they're connected to the wired network, they were being dumped onto the guest network, which in a lot of cases was okay, unless you needed access to, you know, internal, you know, systems and stuff like that. So, you know, the solution temporarily was to basically say, okay, everyone use Wi-Fi, right? But that was like a whole ordeal of us trying to figure that out, right? In the process, I get a message from our networking guy, who's a really cool guy, by the way. But I get a message from him saying, so, I may have accidentally restarted the entire switch stack upstairs.
Oops.
Unintentionally, of course, you know. Because, you know, so we're a large entity. These aren't the kinds of things where it's just like, hey, I'm just going to restart, you know. No, you don't do that. There are specified times when we are allowed to do those things. So I don't know if as part of a command it automatically did that or what happened, or I wonder if they applied a configuration and it forced a reboot on it. So, of course, I go upstairs and all the phones are sitting there, like, saying registering again. I'm like, great. So I had to, like, go around to a bunch of offices and unplug phones and plug them back in to fix them. So, anyway, I eventually get a message close to the end of the day. You know, this is after, you know, a week or so of working on this, right? Week and a half of working on this particular problem of going upstairs, you know, taking a computer, plugging it in, seeing what it was doing, you know, checking IP addresses, things like that, right? So, you know, close to the end of the day, so I go up there, and he's like, hey, can you, you know, check this, like, one more time? And I'm like, sure. So I go up there, pull an IP address, and I'm like, hey, it's the right IP address. I'm on the right network, right? And I message him back, and I'm like, yep, it's working. And then I ask, so what was the solution? You're never going to guess what it was.
Something dumb.
Oh, yeah. It was something dumb. Any ideas?
I have no idea. You told me I would never guess.
The command for the authentication stuff somehow got turned off.
Whoops.
So it was as simple as going in and basically saying, you know, command on. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's another one of those, just, like IT stories right there. So, but, yeah. Oh my goodness, that was fun. So, and other news, Zach, I got a new monitor.
An ultra wide, right?
I have an ultra wide monitor now, and I don't know if. Oh yeah. So okay, so here's the only problem with this is, I used to be able to. I used to have two monitors, so I could share my secondary monitor and still have a monitor in front of me. I can't do that anymore. I haven't found a good way to get this particular system to. I was hoping there was software out there that I could use to treat this in a software way as two separate monitors.
There is.
Well, no. Okay, so the software, what it does is it treats it as two separate monitors for the applications in terms of snapping them. But it doesn't actually treat them as separate
fairly sure there is.
Outputs. Well, if there is...
I'm pretty sure you can do that.
If there is, I haven't found it yet.
I've never done it, but I'm pretty sure you can do it. Maybe it depends on having hardware support for it, though, if the monitor supports it.
That could be. But it gives me an opportunity to... So this will be the new thing. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you are... I'm not even sharing video, am I? Okay, can you see the video now, Zach? If you click into the window, probably.
How'd you know?
Huh?
How'd you know I was tabbed out?
I assumed you were. So here's the solution, Zach. This is one of those things that I put in my computer and then never actually ended up using. So
this looks like a 16:9 display.
What does?
Well, your screen.
Wow, I'm sharing the this it is a 16:9 screen right here, right? But this right here, no, this right here that you're looking at, this is a completely separate system. This is my laptop here.
Oh.
So I am finally using the Elgato capture card that is in my system here. So this is how I will be doing secondary screenshots and stuff. So as opposed to using my like a second monitor like I had. So if I want to share something, I can bring it up here, right? So we can go, full screen. But yeah, basically it's just Elgato. It's an Elgato capture is what it is. I'm using the Elgato capture card that's in my system here. So I actually have two Elgato capture cards. So I have a I can't think of the term right now. Gosh, I'm gonna sound really dumb right now. PCI Express. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So I have a PCI Express one that's actually in Redmond right now. But then I have this one right here as well. So this is the Elgato HD60S. So this is an external one. So I could do capture on like my laptop if I wanted to with this. So it requires USB 3.0 to work, however, though. So that's the thing. Luckily, my laptop is new enough to be able to support that. But anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we are going to call it a night. I don't know, there may be some discussion about as to when specifically we're going to be doing this show moving forward. The plan is to continue to keep doing it now that my life has settled back down and I've adjusted to my new work schedule and things like that. So anyway, but yeah. So until next time.